All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving into a real tech mystery, something that's got the whole photography world scratching their heads. We're going to play detective, follow the clues, and see if we can solve the case of what I'm calling the missing camera, the Nikon Z7III.
Okay, so here's how we're going to crack this case. First, we'll lay out the mystery of the missing camera. Then we'll scope out the competition, the high megapixel arms race. We'll look at our prime suspect, a proven sensor. But then we'll look at the case against that suspect. After that, we'll figure out Nikon's real strategy here, and finally get a little glimpse of what the future Z7 III could be.
All right, first up, let's get right into the mystery itself. So why are we even talking about this? I mean, in the camera world, things move fast, right? A new flagship model every 2, maybe 3 years, that's the norm. But Nikon's big high-resolution camera, the Z7 II, that thing came out in 2020, and its replacement, it's just gone. Vanished.
So yeah, it's 2025, and seriously, where is the Nikon Z7 III? This is what every Nikon fan is asking. Look, the Z7I is a great camera, don't get me wrong. For landscapes, for studio stuff, still fantastic. But in the tech world, it's practically an antique. A successor isn't just overdue, it's long overdue, and the silence from Nikon is getting, well, kind of loud. And just to really hammer this home, look at this timeline. The Z7I came out way back in 2020. A couple of years later, all its big competitors dropped their new models. And here we are, 2025, 5 years later. 5 years. In the camera business, that is an absolute eternity. It's like a whole lifetime in tech years. So you have to ask, what is going on here?
Okay, so to figure out why Nikon is waiting, you first have to look at the battlefield they'd be dropping this camera into. And trust me, it's a war zone. We're talking about a high megapixel arms race. Once you see what the competition is packing, you'll understand why just slapping a new number on the old camera was never going to work.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. It's brutal. The Z7i is sitting there with 45 megapixels, which is great, but Sony's already at 61. Then you look at autofocus. The Z7i has standard AF. The Sony, it has a dedicated AI processing unit. It's not just focusing, it's thinking. And video? Oh boy, Sony and Canon are shooting in 8K. The Z7i is stuck in 4K. Even the viewfinder, the thing you look through, has been totally left in the dust. The Z7i isn't just getting old. It's been completely outmatched, outgunned on every front.
So you think there's an obvious move for Nikon, right? A clear solution. For years, all the rumors have pointed to one thing, one prime suspect that could solve all their problems. It's a specific sensor that seems like the perfect, logical choice to drop into the Z7 III and get back in the game. And here it is. Meet our prime suspect, the Sony IMX455 sensor. This thing is a 61 megapixel monster. We're talking incredible resolution, amazing dynamic range, and crucially, Nikon has used Sony sensors before in some of their most legendary cameras, like the D850, the original Z7. So on paper, this looks like a slam dunk. Just drop this sensor in and boom, you're back on top. And this isn't some new, untested piece of tech. The IMX455 is road tested. It's a proven winner. It's the engine humming inside Sony's own top-tier cameras, and even in super premium cameras from Leica and the really cool Sigma FPL. The pedigree is there. The track record is flawless. It seems like an open and shut case, right? Just use this sensor.
But here's the plot twist. Every good mystery has one. What if the obvious choice is the wrong choice? What if using this sensor would actually be a huge mistake for Nikon? This is where the case gets really interesting. Let's look at the evidence against our prime suspect.
And really, the case against this sensor comes down to one single devastating word: obsolescence. It's not about supply chain problems or anything like that. The simple fact is that amazing 61 megapixel sensor, our perfect suspect, is already old news. It's on its way to becoming obsolete. So why is it obsolete? Well, it boils down to 3 big problems for Nikon. First, the tech is just old. It came out in 2019. Releasing a flagship camera in 2025 with a 6-year-old sensor, that's not a great look. Second, your main rival, Sony, isn't just using the sensor, they've built on it,
adding a special AI chip to make it smarter. Nikon would just be playing catch-up. But the third point, oh, this is the real kicker. It's about how this sensor compares to Nikon's own tech. And this slide, this is the smoking gun. See, Nikon already has a far more advanced sensor in its Z8 and Z9 cameras. It's a stacked sensor. Think of it like this. A stacked sensor is like a 10-lane superhighway for data. Information just flies off it. That speed is what gets you 0 rolling shutter, no more wobbly lines in your video, and a totally blackout-free viewfinder. Now, the IMX455, that's a non-stacked sensor. It's more like a single-lane country road. It's just slower. So if Nikon put that slower sensor in a new Z7III, they'd create this really weird problem where their brand new flagship is actually worse for shooting action than their other cheaper cameras. That just doesn't make any sense.
So, this brings us to our verdict. The long wait, the fact that this camera is missing in action, it's not a mistake. It's not a sign of trouble. No, it's a deliberate strategy. It's a choice.
What Nikon is doing here is playing the long game. Instead of pushing out a camera that's just good enough, one with an old sensor that would feel like a compromise, they're waiting. They are deliberately waiting for a genuinely next-generation sensor to be ready. One that can give them all that crazy high resolution and the insane speed of their Z8 and Z9 tech.
Okay, so if we have to wait, what's the payoff? What are we actually waiting for? What could this future ultimate Z7III look like? Well, by looking at the amazing tech Nikon already has, we can start to piece together a picture of the dream camera.
First off, you get that resolution we've been talking about, around 61 megapixels. I'm talking massive, beautiful detail. But here's the key. This time, it's built on a foundation of pure speed, not on that older, slower tech.
And for anyone who shoots video, the jump would be absolutely huge. We're not just talking about 8K. We're talking about a super smooth 8K at 60 frames per second, all recorded inside the camera in Nikon's incredible and RAW format. That doesn't just catch them up to the pack. That blows right past them. So let's put it all together. This is the dream camera. You get that 61 megapixel stacked sensor. That's the magic ingredient. You pair it with a next-level AI autofocus, one that's so smart it can track insects or even the patterns of waves. You get that gorgeous blackout-free viewfinder, a totally silent camera with no mechanical shutter, and you wrap it all up in a tough professional body like the Z8 with all the cooling it needs. This thing, it wouldn't just be a Z7 III. It would basically be a Z8 supercharged for resolution, the ultimate fusion of detail and speed. So there you have it. The case of the missing camera is closed. It wasn't really missing at all. It was just being perfected. Nikon isn't releasing a compromise. They're waiting to release a masterpiece. Which leaves us with the big final question, right? The wait is going to be long, no doubt about it, but if this is the camera we get at the end of all that waiting, won't it be absolutely worth it?